Most of us recognize the penny, small, coppery, light in weight, featuring the familiar face of Queen Elizabeth II on one side, and on the other side, that arch-wrought portcullis design with chains that seem to frame a gateway. It is humble and unassuming, used for everyday purchases, sometimes saved in jars, often lost under couch cushions. Few imagine that among those millions of pennies produced could be examples so rare, so irregular, that their worth stretches far beyond their face value. The story begins with the Royal Mint in the year 2000. Production of pennies that year was routine. Mintages were high, and coins were struck with dies that were supposed to produce identical pieces, each penny mint to be exactly like the next. But in any process that produces hundreds of millions of items, even in modern mints, the chance of error is real. Sometimes a die might be slightly misaligned. A piece of metal used might have impurities, or a pairing of dies might create a variation unnoticed by the mint inspectors. Any of these things can create what collectors call errors or variants. And in the world of numismatics, those errors can make a coin suddenly fascinating, rare, desirable, and worth far more than a coin's face value point. One of the reasons the 2000 penny attracted attention is because of a limited number of coins that bear slight defects or peculiarities, perhaps a misstrike, off-center image, double striking of the design, or other anomalies. It might also be that among those coins, a handful were produced with a slightly different metal content or finish. Perhaps some coins escaped quality control in ways so subtle they passed unnoticed for years. For decades, these pennies circulated just like any other, found in wallets, on sidewalks, in bus fares, never judged or appreciated for anything special. Collectors, however, are always on the lookout for those anomalies. Enthusiasts spend hours examining coins under magnification, comparing weight, edge, font, spacing between inscriptions, all hoping to find one of those rare variants. And when one is found, the excitement spreads quickly through the community. What looks like a mundane penny could be the discovery of a lifetime, one that combines rarity, condition, historical interest, and collectors' demand. Condition matters greatly. A coin that bears no scratches, minimal wear, crisp detail, proper coloration. These are the attributes that send value soaring. Even among rare error coins, one in mint state or close to it can command prices thousands or even millions of times higher than a worn example. So among the pennies from 2000, those in nearly perfect state are prized. But rarity must be real. If dozens exist with the same anomaly, it is less rare. If just one or two are known, that makes all the difference. Then there is the story of provenance. A coin with a well-documented history, passed through respected collectors, stored in specialized conditions. These things attest to authenticity and condition, further raising interest. In the case of the rare 2000 penny variants, those that have been preserved carefully, that have a well-known chain of ownership, become legends among collectors. Museums might show them. Private collectors might pay handsomely for them. Interest from collectors around the world drives demand higher. When auctions are held, when specialized numismatic dealers advertise one of these rare pennies, people bid fiercely. The combination of rarity, condition, and demand can push a price beyond what many imagine possible for a coin that once cost the equivalent of 1/100th of a pound. Some of those rare 2000 pennies have turned out to be almost mythical in the numismatic world. There are stories of coins with mint errors so subtle that even experts disagreed whether to classify them as errors or simply manufacturing quirks. But once consensus builds, once grading authorities inspect and certify one as genuine and rare, the value shoots up. There are cases where a version believed to exist only as legend suddenly turns up in a private collection or at an auction, shining nearly perfect, preserved for years in darkness. The excitement is immense because such a coin may be the only one of its kind. In recent years, one particular variant of the one penny coin from 2000 caught the attention of the international coin collecting world. It carried a rare flaw, so small that ordinary people would never notice it without magnification. Perhaps the lettering around the edge of the coin was slightly shifted, or the steel core under the copper plating was exposed in a way that created an unusual color. Maybe the metal composition was subtly off, creating a strike that was uneven or a die that was misaligned. Whatever the flaw, it was enough that it was impossible to replicate exactly, and only a handful of coins with that same flaw were known to exist. This coin remained in private collections, talked about among serious numismatists, rarely seen in public. Then, finally, one example came to auction. It was in nearly perfect condition, no visible wear, no corrosion, the luster bright, the details sharp even under close inspection, and it carried that rare, identifiable flaw that marked it as one of the very few in existence. Bidders from around the world circled, experts verified its history, grading services authenticated it. When the hammer fell, the coin sold for an amount that shattered expectations, pushed boundaries, and rewrote what people believed coins like this could fetch.